Idly Ho Drinkerinos, it is the 10th episode of the Idaho Booze Podcast with me, Steve Kuntz. On today's episode, we talked to Robert Harrelson and David Hall from Bert's Brewing. They're very hot right now. To answer such questions as why all the lagers? How does one cultivate great vibes? And we get into a super spicy convo about, oh baby, water chemistry. Meow. Bad stuff brewing and brew news, including a couple of local beer joints closing down and more Oktos in Friday Night Pints. All that and more coming up on this, the 10th episode of the Idaho Booze Podcast. This show is sponsored by Boise Beer Buddies. When me and my friends are chopping it up at the local watering hole, say Good Apple Tap House or Twin Falls Sandwich Company, Bert's Growler Garage, I'm always watching the bar to see what people are ordering and if they are carrying that Boise Beer Buddies card. Because if you do frequent pretty much any craft beer bar or brewery in or around Idaho and you aren't using your Beer Buddies card, well, we can't be friends. The Beer Buddies card doesn't just unlock amazing deals like $1 off your first beer at Bert's, 20% off your entire bill at Twin Falls Sandwich Company, or BOGO Tuesdays at Boise Brewing. It also unlocks an entire world of craft beerdom with the Boise Beer Buddies app by showing you other bars, restaurants, and breweries where you can be saving money and making new friends like me. Let's face it, you're already buying beer. Now be a buddy. Get your Boise Beer Buddies membership today at boisebeerbuddies.com, and as a special treat, use promo code BOOZEPOD, all one word, BOOZEPOD, and get a free year-long membership when you purchase one. That's promo code BOOZEPOD for buy one, get one free Boise Beer Buddy card. Be a buddy. Sign up for Boise Beer Buddies today. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm Steve Kuntz, and things have been pretty quiet, relatively speaking, this week. We have some stuff in brew news we're going to get to, but I really just wanted to fast forward to my interview with Rob and David from Bert's Brewing, because these guys are really great dudes. I mean, they were really fun to hang out with. They came out to the palatial estate. They brought beer. They pretty much did everything you want a guest to do. They came in hot. They spoke well. They're good talkers. And I got to tell you, Bert's has been a tasty addition to the Treasure Valley beer scene. Posting up in, where else? Garden City. These boys from the coast have made a name for themselves by pumping out tasty treats like Bert's Pills, Vaquero, Mexican Lager, and Pacific Coast Hopway, just to name a few. I also really enjoyed the Oktoberfest they brought over, and we talked about the label art on there and some special stuff that went on with that. It's a really cool interview, and their beers have been really nice. I mean, they have a new pale ale out they did. We talk about it with 10 Barrel. Really good stuff. And a couple of IPAs on tap over there as well. So if you haven't been over there yet, go check it out. It's in Garden City. We talk all about where it is and everything. So I think you're going to really like this interview. I think you're going to like these guys. I think you're going to enjoy meeting the people behind Bert's Brewing. Just want to tell everybody out there before the interview that there was some kind of issue with the sound. So it looks like one of the mics wasn't turned on. So I kind of sound like I'm about 40 feet away during the whole interview, which is a little weird. But sorry about that. I hope you guys stick with the interview. Their mic is on, so you can hear all the important stuff. You just don't hear a lot of the stupid stuff I say. So enjoy the interview. Sorry about that, guys. That sucks that the mic was off or something was going on. I have to figure that out. And it's all part of trying to put out your own podcast, I guess, just figuring this stuff out. So sorry about that, and enjoy the interview. Thanks.
That's the beginning
of the show. Wait, what do you have there?
We've got our Merton,
We're just going to
get Oktoberfest, and then our Pilsner. So flagship Pilsner.
Oh.
The Merton's one-off for, obviously, Oktoberfest season. But yeah. Definitely proud of both of them.
We've got Rob Harrelson, co-founder, and David Hall, head brewer at Bert's Brewing. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and what you were doing before opening a brewery here in Idaho.
You want to go ahead?
Right after college, I started home brewing. Any Orange County listeners, Addison Homebrew Provisions in Fullerton was where I learned how to brew beer and got involved with the homebrew club heavily. And then left the insurance industry in 2014. I was a claims adjuster for Mercury Insurance. It was a phenomenal job. It was great. It was terrible. So I left the insurance industry and went to manage Addison Homebrew Provisions, and that was like my toe into the brewing industry. And then I got my start in brewing at Bottle Logic Brewing in Anaheim, California. I started there in 2015 as a cellar operator, and then worked my way up to morning shift brewer, did barrel work, packaging, kind of got my hands on everything there. And that was my way in. Eventually started at Chapman Crafted Beer in the spring of 2018 and was there until March of this year. So I had about a 6-year stay there.
Yeah. And then for myself, started homebrewing at 17. So when I was in college, I kind of knew immediately that it was my life's passion. And so started just reading more, trying to learn as much as I possibly could, leading up to where I turned 21. I decided to drop out of school, and then immediately started working at a brewery called Town Park. Actually, David and I both worked there separately for short stints. But after the Town Park, I went over to Chapman Crafted and worked as a delivery driver. I did that for about, 6 or 7 months. But at the same time, I was going through kind of the online Siebel program and gearing up to apply for the WBA Master Brewer program, which I was accepted into. And so went to Chicago and then Munich. I got my Master Brewer certification, and then actually kind of, we were on family vacation, and David texted me saying that their lead brewer just left and that he was in need of a new brewer. And so went from family vacation to working again at Chapman Crafted in about a span of 2 weeks. I think that was like March 17th.
Yep, that was a pretty quick turnaround.
And so, yeah, I worked with David for, I want to say it was maybe 2 months before I told you that I wanted to move to Idaho and start a brewery.
Yep.
I told you I'd be with you as long as it took to get something.
Yeah, you gave me like 6 months notice.
Yep.
Very generous.
But at that time, I had also met Sydney, who is the other owner at Bert's. She's also my wife. So we moved up to Boise in November of, I want to say that was 21.
She wasn't your wife when you met her, though, right? That came after?
That's interesting. Let's get into that.
Which is weird, but yes, it did happen after. So we moved November 6th of 2021, and then we got married November 6th of 2022. And then the brewery opened. We missed it by like 2 days. November 4th was our family opening of 2023. So really, we both kind of worked a couple jobs here. I worked as a head brewer at Twin Falls for a little bit at Miller's Gate, and then was the lead brewer at Payette for a short stint as we were building out Bert's. But that whole process probably took us a good part of 2 years until we finally got open.
Awesome. Well, I know it's the same old story. Insurance adjuster to head brewer. I mean, you've heard it a million times.
It's more common than you think.
Yeah, I can imagine insurance adjuster to anything is pretty common.
You find me a head brewer that hasn't been an insurance adjuster?
Right.
Yeah, now we're talking.
If they say that they weren't, they just don't remember.
Yeah.
They were blacked out the whole time.
And so then you mentioned you kind of glossed over and you went to Siebel. So you've got your papers. You are a for-real German trained brewer. What's that like?
It's like David's better than me.
Yeah. That was my second question. My next question was, and why is David the head brewer?
Well, David's the head brewer because he's a better brewer. That's the reality of it is, the papers are great. You get to learn a lot. You get to understand a lot. But there's a lot of practical pieces to being a really phenomenal brewer. And David just naturally has kind of that it factor. So when we had the opportunity to get David to come up and take over the head brewer role, it was, such an obvious choice. And it was something that we built into the business before we even opened. That was conversations that were years in the making. I mean, I think it was week 3 or 4 that kind of broached the subject about, hey, David, I eventually want to move up to Idaho, start this brewery, come be my head brewer. And your answer was?
That sounds phenomenal. You should convince my wife.
Exactly. And so for the next 3 years was doing that.
Was convincing my wife that we should move.
But it was always an understanding of, it's great to, I don't think I was terrible at it, but I definitely was not overly talented. And so when there's somebody who's just absolutely phenomenal at what they do, you just don't need to stand in their way.
For sure. And so you guys came up from Orange County, you're working at Chapman Craft. How did you all decide to come, or why did you decide, I guess, Rob, why did you decide to come to Idaho from sunny California?
I think there was a lot of reasons. Both Sydney and I wanted to get out of California. Just not a place that we felt like, we were going to be able to go into those next stages and chapters of life. But picking Boise was honestly really easy. We visited once and we were sold in a day. The community that's here, the city, it's nice, it's clean, it's growing. But it has a population that's, really supportive, that's really interconnected. You actually get to talk to your neighbors, you get to care about each other, and you get to have an opportunity to be involved in a way that I don't think California at that time, or at this time, or Washington, you really have those same opportunities. And so, wanting to be deeply involved into whatever community we wanted to call home and not just kind of bounce around, we wanted to find a place that we could really put roots into.
Okay, I think that's why a lot of people come here. I mean, that certainly played into it for us as well. I mean, we moved here. I'm originally from Seattle, but had not lived there my entire adult life because of a lot of those reasons, also the weather. And I actually spent a lot of time in California too. So yeah, I get it. I mean, you don't have to convince me. I love it. I love it here. That's awesome. What about you, David? What went into your decision to come here? I know it had to have been more than just Rob saying, while you guys were, I'm sure it was after a barrel tasting or something over there, you guys were like, I'm starting a brewery in Idaho.
I have been wanting to get out of California for like 10 years. Even before my wife and I got married, and we were renting a 1-bedroom apartment then for like $1,500. Now I think that same apartment goes for $2,000. I kind of saw the writing on the wall that this isn't going to be a place where we can have all the things that we want. I told my wife back then, she said, I want to live here in Orange County where our families are. I want to be a homeowner, and I want to have 2 or 3 kids. And I said, you need to pick 2 out of those 3 things. I think we can do 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And so I saw that back then, and it's just hard. You don't want to leave your family. I have a big family in California. My wife does too. Both of our parents still live in our hometown, Yorba Linda. And especially when we started, we had our first daughter, having those parents right there to help whenever you need it, that's huge.
Sure.
And getting to, our daughter being able to know her grandparents was a really wonderful thing. And then when Rob started talking about the brewery and Idaho, I had already been looking at possible places where we could go. And there were probably 6 or 7 states where I thought, like, this would make so much sense for us. So it could have been any of those, but getting to know Rob and then getting to know Sydney after they got married, that's what made it Boise and not anywhere else. My wife Karen and I really believe in Rob and Sydney and what they're doing. Working for them is unlike any other working situation I've ever had. And since moving here, it's only been confirmation of what Rob had been talking to me about for the last few years.
Yeah, and it's not like you went to Fairbanks, Alaska. I mean, the flight from here to Orange County is an hour and a half.
Right.
It is, right, 2 hours maybe.
Yeah, and I came to visit Rob like 2 years ago, shortly after they moved here. And right away, it's like, oh, this place is great. There's nothing to not like about this area. Everyone I met was super nice.
Especially Albertson's Market Street.
Yeah, that was the first place we went after the airport was Albertson's Market Street, and I was so sold at that point.
What's going on at this grocery store?
Yeah. So I knew, like, I just need to get my wife up here for her to see how wonderful life could be up here. And I think it was February of last year, she had that realization. She just turned to me on the couch one night. I had shut up about moving. I stopped talking about it for like a year because I had initially tried after Rob brought up, moving here and brewing for him, and it just wasn't taking. So I said, I'm just going to stop talking about it. And what do you know? I stopped talking about it. And she said, hey, maybe we should go check out Boise and like go visit Rob in Sydney. And once we came up and visited, we were in.
Yeah, and I think that it's a part of the sort of process that this migration that we're experiencing now in Boise and in the Treasure Valley and Idaho in general, that a lot of people don't really gravitate towards. You get a lot of like, I get this too. I just moved out here to Eagle, and I moved all the way from Southeast Boise. And a lot of people still look at me when I say we just moved here, and they're like, where are you from? I'm like, well, I came here from Southeast Boise. Oh, okay. I don't think people realize that a lot of people are moving here because it's so awesome, and they want to come here and experience that awesome lifestyle. It's not that they're coming here because wherever they live was so bad. It's just that here you can do so much more, like you talked about. You don't have to pick 2 out of 3. You can have all 3 of those things that you want out of your life. And I think that's a huge thing people don't understand. It must have helped when you decided to open your business here too, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The biggest thing, for the people who, might think the population moving here, the migration here as a negative, I look at it as such a positive of, we say it all the time, you don't get to choose where you were born, but you do get to choose where you live. Mm-hmm. And for really the vast majority of people moving up here, it's because they want to be here. We weren't dragged up here in shackles and chains. It was an active choice for a better life, and it's to be a part of this community. It's not to, try to alter it or make it something, different. It's just to fully embrace what Idaho and what Boise is.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's any better way to say it. It's awesome. Well, I, for one, am very happy that you're up here because I have enjoyed your beers a time or 2 or 3, 4. Maybe one more time. If I'm offered one of the Martins, I'll gladly accept it. You guys, one of many new kind of winery, brewery places to sort of plant your flag in Garden City. Mm-hmm. So what led to that decision, and how did you find your location?
Well, when we were starting to look at potential locations, Garden City at the time had the Live Work Create District, which unfortunately no longer exists. But that was a big point. And unlike most industries, I think craft beer really benefits from having near competition. Having the ability to go from one brewery to the next within walking distance or short driving distance. It only makes the other breweries around it better. We want to be around, high quality breweries. I think we're doing exactly that. We're around some really phenomenal places, and whether it's wineries, breweries, and now Chardonnay's going in, so that's going to be phenomenal. But you want it to be this kind of condensed area because that's going to be what fuels people to give us a try. They might go over to Western or Barbarian or wherever, and then come have a beer at us, and vice versa. And I think that's a really positive and powerful thing for our industry to keep, growing, thriving, surviving.
Bert's, Talaya, Stagecoach, then maybe Barbarian. That's kind of been our little square that we've done over there. That's what we like. And I totally agree with you. I think there are 2 ways to do it. You're either in with a bunch, it's almost like being like a herd of buffalo or something. Like you're in with a bunch of breweries like you're talking about, or you're the one that's way out in the middle of nowhere where there's no other breweries for 10 miles or 100 miles, right?
Yeah. No, I just think this industry is so unique, and it's such a positive thing to be near, quote unquote competition. Mm-hmm. Because it's not really competition. The real thing is if we're getting people to drink craft beer, that's a community positive.
For sure.
So
David just slyly took an Oktoberfest.
It's gonna be quiet.
So we're just gonna open this up.
There we go.
Now we're drinking. Now, cheers.
Cheers.
So we've got a fest beer here. Martin, as you said. Pop quiz, hot shot. When did you brew the Martin?
Oh, I brewed it
late August.
Yeah, late August.
Oh, nice. It tastes very good. It's very well rounded.
I mean, that got packaged off on last Monday.
Yep. It's been in the can for
about
9 days.
Yeah.
And it's something we can get to later. And this is another one, certainly, is your your label art, which I really enjoy. You guys, David, we met once. Rob, this is the first time we met. And it's always like totally cool and comfortable for the first time you meet someone to bring them into your house and interview them for a show. It's not.
That's a hell of an icebreaker.
Yeah, it's not weird at all. But so I come from the I'm sales and I was sales and marketing when I worked in breweries and distributors, stuff like that. And so I always gravitate towards can art because I basically labeled a whole brewery one time, and it's something that I know it takes a lot of work. I know it's something you antagonize over, stuff like that. So let's just talk about it real quick since we're already talking about it. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy your guys's your beer names. I really enjoy the label art. I like the Art Deco look. Tell me what kind of inspires the look of your guys' labels, and how those kind of inform the next beers that you put out into the market.
Yeah, well, I think to get a full understanding for kind of why the big art style, why it's so prevalent, why there's so much detail in it, is kind of growing up as a beer drinker in Southern California, you had the likes of Ballast Point, which I think just did a phenomenal job on, when they created their labels, it was a ginormous print, all painted, and then they would choose a small section and they would make that the artwork for the label. And it was highly detailed, it was actual art. It wasn't kind of that clip art, There's nothing wrong with that, but it was really, really intentional. For our brand, we decided that the American traditional style was what we wanted to go with, and so I think we have elements of that, but that's definitely blended more into, Art Deco, like you said. I think our tasting room kind of has that mid-century, or kind of old school look. In all honesty, that's all my wife, Sydney. She handles all of our design and direction for that, but we also have a phenomenal team over at Trademark Design. So Cassie and Alyssa are kind of our two main people. They both work at Bert's. Cassie just left. It's just a lot having a full-time job and a weekend gig, but Alyssa's still with us. So they do all of the design, all of the actual art prints, and I think they're just superbly talented.
This is a really beautiful can. I mean, you have a lovely Fraulein here with a giant mug of beer. It's basically you're just in the middle of an Oktoberfest here, right?
Yep. And so, I mean, from a personal piece, it's it was important for us to have this specific image for this beer. I know people can't see it right now, but I have an aunt that passed away pretty tragically about 2 years ago. So we wanted to put her onto the can.
Oh, is that her?
It was around the same time of the year. And then the 3 hummingbirds, that's kind of our family sign for, our loved ones that we've lost. And so on my mom's side, we've got now, she has 3 sisters that we've lost. And so those are representing, them and being their part of the festival. And, we're Austrian heritage on my mom's side, so it was kind of an easy tie-in for the Oktoberfest.
You've broken the tie for heritages on the show so far. Austria is now ahead with 2.
Well, there we go.
That we got on, which is amazing. But yeah, it's a beautiful piece of art. I love the history behind it, and I'm sorry about your mom's sisters, your aunts. I mean, that's terrible, but what a lovely label. It's just a really nice. And then the colors really pop too. Is that the Munich? Is that the typical Munich blue? Is that what that is? I'm not as versed in German.
Yep. So typical kind of Munich blue, but there's also a lot of oranges. I mean, I think that's a nice representation of kind of the color that you're going to get from this beer.
Yeah.
According to glass, it's a little bit lighter on the can than it is in reality.
Probably the color you think of the most when you think of an Oktoberfest beer for whatever reason is orange, like an orangey kind of beer.
Absolutely, and the whole thing is, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be traditional, but we want to put our own twists onto it. So,
yeah. And it's a lovely can. So tell us, what's the twist that you put inside the can then, David?
So we actually did not just this Märzen style for Oktoberfest. We also did a more modern, like fest beer style that you would get served today. So because we were doing two, which are really just different interpretations of sort of the same like historical roots of that festival, I needed to differentiate the two so they look different. And so for this that we're drinking right now, the Märzen, it's a heavy Munich malt base. We use Weyermann malts for everything in this particular beer. They're Munich 1, Munich 2, to a lesser extent. Also some melanoid malt as well that we use. And you're going to get a lot of toast, bread crust, some sweet malt. You shouldn't really get like caramel or anything like that. That would be more like the modern, like American interpretation of a Märzen. So this is an attempt at making a German style Märzen. Hop wise, it's going to be fairly muted. This is a malt forward style, but we use some Magnum at the beginning of the boil for some bitterness and a little bit of Hallertau tradition in the middle at the end of our kettle additions. Just to let you know that there's some traditional noble hop character there, but they're just there as a supporting role for the malt. And then I want the beer, as with pretty much all beers at Bert's, we want them to finish on the drier side. We want them to be crisp, clean, relatively dry, so that the beer invites another sip and another sip. We want our beers to be drinkable, even for a style that can be, some can be kind of chewy, and it should be warming and it should be satisfying for the time of year that you're enjoying it. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to have more than one, or it's really not a fest beer if you're one and done.
Yeah.
You are preaching to the choir.
I think the one ingredient that you didn't mention, but is so prevalent for what we do and kind of why we're able to do, I think, a lot of things that we are, is the water. And I don't know if you want to speak on.
Sure. Yeah.
Are we talking water chemistry?
Let's talk water chemistry.
Let's talk water chemistry.
Let's do it, nerds.
Let's do it.
So Rob put a really great water filtration system in when he built out Bert's.
We got reverso carbonate.
We got the RO system, and that's something that we got used to working at Chapman Crafted. Having the ability to strip the minerality out of your water and then build it back how you want it lets you make the water suit the style that you're making.
Preach, brother.
And so for something that's a Munich style, I want Munich style lagers to be dry finishing, not super crisp though. They should have a certain softness to it. So when I'm balanced, I have a pretty balanced sulfate to chloride ratio in the water, versus like our Pilsner, which is heavy sulfate and fairly light on the chloride, and that makes a very crisp, very drying finish on the beer. This I want to be a little softer. Not full-on malty, not like a heavy chloride beer, but it needs to be balanced between the two. And that's what will create that dry but soft feeling on the palate, still inviting that other sip, though.
Now, are you going in and mimicking water chemistries from other areas?
I don't do that too much. Not specifically like targeting a certain city or anything like that, but I know what I want the water to do for a certain beer style. Sometimes it happens to work out that the water I need suits where that style came from. Like if I'm making a dry stout, then doing something that's super heavy in temporary hardness, something that is going to be a lot like Dublin's water, it's going to work well for that beer. That's how that style developed. But in this particular beer that we're drinking, I knew what I wanted the water to do for the beer, and I think it does.
I'll tell you what, Drinkerinos, that is next level right there. David coming in hard with the water chemistry talk. I like it, David. Thank you. I'm a big water chemistry guy when it comes to brewing beer, and going reverso, and then what is it, like a salt and carbon back in or something? Or so you said sulfite. So
there's a mix of salts that I'll use for the beer, but every beer I'm going to use some level of calcium chloride and calcium sulfate. We need calcium in that water to lower mash pH. It's also important for yeast health. Yeah. So those two will both be there, and how I balance the two is going to be the primary factor in determining how that sits on your palate, how dry or crisp it finishes, or how soft it can finish. And then I'll usually add some magnesium sulfate. Magnesium, another component for yeast health. Also lowering mash pH to a lesser extent than calcium. So those three are in every one of our beers. Occasionally, I'll also use some calcium carbonate or chalk if I need some temporary hardness in the water for something that's very dark. Also, I might add some canning salt, some sodium chloride. Sodium also, that'll usually go hand in hand with the chalk if I need that little bit of saltiness for like a dark beer, or occasionally a really hop forward beer, not because I want it to taste salty, but because we're stripping out all the sodium from our intake water, I might need some of that back in there.
And fluoride. And
fluoride.
And
absolutely.
Else, right?
Yeah, we're definitely stripping that out too.
Man, I knew there was a reason why I liked you guys. This is great. That is just a next level thing. I'll tell you what, guys, that is not something every brewery does. The reverse O is not cheap, and putting stuff back into it, even less not cheaper than the reverse O. So I commend you guys on that. That's awesome. And just speaking of your beers a little bit more and sort of where you guys came from, which was Chapman Craft in beautiful Orange, California. Orange is a unique place. There's people that dress as greasers that walk around local bars, or there were 20 years ago when I was there. There's a place called The Circle. The students at Chapman do a naked run once a year. Mm-hmm. This is not a normal town in the middle of a place that tries to be very normal in Orange County. Goes out of its way to be normal. So much so that it is kind of a weird place in and of itself also. But Orange is right smack in the middle. It's not on the beach. It's not in the mountains. It's just this little tiny town in the middle of Orange County. I just like to talk about Orange. I love it. So what was the craft beer scene there like? And does it at all compare to Idaho and the Treasure Valley?
I think the craft beer scene in Orange is one of the most competitive beer scenes in the country right now. The quality that's coming out of Orange and Southern California, really from the start of craft beer, have been just top level. Like I said, we work Chapman. We I think maxed out at 2,300 barrels there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But was one of the most well-rounded, phenomenal breweries, I think, in Orange County and probably in California.
Place was packed all the time. Every time I drove by, it packed. I had to go around the corner to the other brewery. A couple times I was there.
Yeah, but now we've got, I think for a while it was Noble, but now Green Cheek, Bottle Logic, where David was from, Radiant, which has taken the place of Town Park.
Yeah.
David and I both work. They do phenomenal stuff. Everywhere Beer.
1862?
1886. Yeah. Sean Morgan's doing a great job.
Phenomenal.
It's a really concentrated group of high-quality brewers. Then you go into South County.
You've got Docent. You've got Artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of blend into Oceanside and Vista, and you've got Mother Earth, which is also up here, but Black Plague.
Yeah.
I mean that whole stretch of coast, basically up to L.A. is just perfect brewery after perfect brewery.
The LA quality was insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd put Orange County up there with anyone as far as beer quality goes.
And get in your head, which one's the best? Which one's your favorite, or the one that you like the most?
Now,
Orange County.
Yeah, just on any given time, like you're just in Orange County for one night, you got time to go to one brewery.
We were really impressed with Everywhere. Radiant is phenomenal.
He's not dodging
Green
the question.
Cheek.
There's a brewery called Everywhere.
Yeah.
Green Cheek is, I think we were kind of there when they were starting up. It depends on what you're in the mood for, because I think in such a concentrated market, you get specialization, which is unique. I think a lot of breweries around here, and Chapman was, to me, the best at just being that nice broad stroke, great at everything.
Yeah, and 2,300 barrels. It's not like they're distributing, right? Pretty much everything is in-house, isn't it?
We distributed
out into Arizona.
Washington,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oregon, Northern California.
The Bay Area.
That's awesome.
It was a pretty good footprint.
See if we can get our friends at Chapman Craft to send some beers out of here. I wouldn't mind trying. Is there anything like a Panther beer or anything like that?
We did do a Panther Pills for the homecoming.
Say right now, I'll take a Panther. I'll take a Panther Pills 6.
One Brittany Pills.
That's right.
For the graduation party.
That was awesome.
I'll take one of each.
I wish Dueling Ducks was still in Orange County. That's where I would go.
Dueling Ducks.
Favorite brewer in Orange County? Dan
Kaus. Yep.
And when I was there, we had a little place called Gordon Biersch. Don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty awesome. Orange Mining Beer Company, Orange Mining Brewery Company, something like that. It was right on the train tracks, really weird. Mm-hmm. And they had a beer that we used to get kegs of that was pretty good. I don't recall what it was called. But obviously the scene there has grown over the last 20 years, which is great. Sounds like it's pretty awesome. And here in Treasure Valley, we're growing as well. Other parts of Idaho also growing. But yeah, once you have that ingrown competition, like you're saying, steel sharpens steel. So these guys are getting better and better. And we got David out of the whole thing, and we got Chris over at Mother Earth. So we've got a couple of really nice California brewers here that are doing some amazing job.
Chris is phenomenal. Matt Watterson, Chris Van Sickle over at 10 Barrels, phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Oh, you guys just did a collab with them, right?
We did. Chris is a phenomenal brewer.
Kyle, who you worked with.
Yep, Kyle Mans. Yep, Kyle Mans comes from Taps. Taps is like sort of the OG in Orange County brewing. The number of talented brewers that have come through Taps is crazy. There's like a whole family tree, and Kyle Mans is one of them.
Nice.
And that's not to leave anyone off. I mean, that's just kind of off the head. People who've moved in.
And is Kyle at Tin Barrel?
Kyle's at Western.
Oh, he's at Western. Oh, nice. All right. Well, good luck to Kyle over there at Western. Hope it works out. And if you'd like to come on the show, nice. There. And now Rob is just very slyly taking another one off the pack deck, and he's about to.
Sorry, Sidney.
Crack that bad boy open. What do we got now?
Pills.
Looks like the pills. Yeah.
That is the go-to for me.
Same.
Yeah.
In-house, we do it off of a Luker side bowl, so traditional pills pour. We do that because it's traditional. So there's kind of the secret menu item of the Maliko, which is the foam pour. Kind of different things that you can do, but wanting to make that beer, which David's, blended phenomenally. And, at Chapman we did phenomenal pills, but, you could speak to how you changed it up and all that.
Yeah.
But he's done such a good job just getting this beer where I think it always wanted to be.
Definitely. A lot of people don't know as a brewer, you're usually buying hops on a contract, which means you're buying them years in advance. They're only harvested once a year, and so in order to ensure you're going to get the varieties and quantities that you want, it's typical to sign a contract 3 to 5 years in advance of when you actually are going to start taking receipt of that crop year. So when I took over as head brewer at Chapman Crafted in 2020, that our brewery we had planned on 80% growth in production that year, or at least an 80% growth in production capacity. And then that ended up being a year where every single brewery across the country made less beer than the year before by a pretty large amount. And that growth, that increase in cellar capacity that we had planned on didn't happen for some shenanigans-based reasons. The tanks that we ordered never came. But we had contracted for the hops. So the contract that I inherited from my predecessor was just bloated.
Yeah.
For both of those reasons. And I frantically had to try and I had to get, of the 3 contracts I had, the 3 different suppliers, I had to get them to take back everything I could convince them to just take off my hands, which they don't have to do.
No.
So some of them were helpful, more helpful than others. And then in other ways, like, you could say, like, can I turn this Amarillo that I know I don't need, what can I turn it into that I might need? Mm-hmm. And ended up being that particular supplier was heavy on saws and Spalt Select. So I said, cool, well, I'll take that. I know I can use it in our pills. So Chapman Crafted Pills featured a lot of Spalt Select and Saws for that reason, because I needed to use those hops. And they worked great. We made a good pills. I was really proud of it. But coming to Bert's and not being burdened with any of those contracts, I could make exactly the pills that I wanted to make. And so for that reason, our pills features Saphir, which is my favorite European hop. It's super clean, features classic like noble hop, spicy, floral, but then it has this really nice tangerine kind of coriander citrus that comes in at the end that is just so pleasant in just about any lager. But I love the way it gives our pills like a unique sort of twist where it's not like a citrusy, the way you would think of like a dry hopped, like Pacific Northwest hopped beer. It's just a nice subtle note that complements the other qualities in that hop. It's phenomenal. I'm so proud of that pills, and wouldn't have gotten to make it if not for coming up here and coming to Bert's.
Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. I am here with Rob Harrelson and David Hall from Bert's Brewing Company. How you guys doing?
Good.
Still good?
Good, yeah.
We had a little break, and now we're back at it, and we're talking canning. You guys just recently, I just noticed anyway, recently that you had some 4-packs at Costco. So I imagine that the cans are taking off. You're starting to see some more outside distributing. How's that going? And what have you guys had to kind of do to catch up to that and keep that going?
It's definitely going good. Costco was a huge ad for us. Coming up in kind of by mid-October, we should be adding about 36 Albertsons statewide. So 8 Albertsons up north for all 4 cores, and then right around 28 Albertsons in Treasure Valley for our Pilsner and our Pacific Coast Hopway, our IPA.
Nice.
So definitely excited about that. It's great to have that kind of throughput. Having it in market is such a big deal. As far as kind of what it does for us, it's kind of helped us figure out what we need to make more of, so we become a little bit more core focused as far as canning goes. But the farther we get into it, the better those projections become. So it'll be easy. The primary focus on the production side is that as canning goes up, as core brands go up, we still have what makes us special, which is, I think, a lot of that one-off and seasonal releases and unique beers that allow David to show off different skills. But no, we've added 2 times the capacity since opening. Bought our canning line, and so it's just starting to learn and dedicate tanks to certain styles, and then kind of working with the remainder.
And what are the cores right now?
So the cores are our Pilsner, our IPA, which is the Pacific Coast Hopway, our Hello Sailor, which is our dry hop lager, and then Vaquero, which is our Mexican lager. And then we have a pseudo-core seasonal American lager, which in the future we hope to add the counterpart to that, which would be the Canadian lager.
You have the Mexican lager, the American lager, and then the Canadian lager, finally unifying North America in lager.
It's about time.
And what has this done for your schedule, David? Have you had to kind of switch around what you wanted to do? And I know like a lot of times with some brewers, maybe you're not one of them, but some brewers, when they have to focus on the core, they get a little bit antsy. But how's it going for you in that?
I think it's great. I'm really lucky that the core beers that we make are the things that I want to be making and the things that I want to nerd out on and get exactly the way that I want them. And I've been brewing for a while, I also want to be a part of a successful business too. So I kind of get all of it. It's no problem for me to focus on those 4 beers, and then when we get to try something new, then I get to have fun and experiment. But I have absolutely no problem dialing in 4 beers that we make a ton of and are proud of.
Yeah.
Especially our pills. I'll make that all day long.
We all love the pills.
Sometimes I wonder if I could just make pills and nothing else.
There you go.
I just have to make this one beer perfectly all the time.
You could go get a job at Bitburger if you want to, or Velton's.
Yeah.
If you really like making pills.
I do like the Veltons.
I'll be competing for that job with you.
Oh, wow. All right. You heard it here first, folks. We're going to have an old-fashioned brew-off for Velton's Pilsner.
And we got to have the unfiltered Bitburger in Portland.
Well, we were fortunate enough to be invited to the Bitburger Pilsner Challenge. Man, what was that? March or April? It was
in early June, I think.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been going by fast.
Yeah, it has.
But, no, I mean, we were surrounded by phenomenal brewers.
Yeah.
We got to, talking to the owner of Bitburger was kind of a pinch me moment.
Jan. That guy was awesome.
Yeah.
That's the coolest dude I've ever met in my life.
He's better than
Jan Bitburger?
He's better at drinking.
It's not. No, what's his last name? It's
He's better at drinking than me.
Oh, he's phenomenal at drinking beer.
Oh, he's German. Those guys, they get a head start. I always say this: the Europeans get a head start on this. How can we compete?
It's tough, but overall, I think have been so blessed with just a fun path.
Well, yeah,
today.
Sort of talking about that along with the distribution stuff. You guys, I would say that you've taken the Treasure Valley at least, and also I found, I don't know if you saw in the column I wrote recently, but I found a bunch of your stuff at a bar up in McCall, and they had I think 1 or 2 of your beers on tap, plus all the cores in the cooler. And I was like, oh geez.
Lardo's?
No, it wasn't Lardo's, but it was their sister bar. It was the other pizza place that's kind of around the corner. But Lardo's is great. I did not go to Lardo's this time.
Well, that's a huge credit to Tony at Scout. He has turned McCall into the Bert's. He's a man.
Bert's North.
But he's done a phenomenal job up in that market. I think he does a great job representing our brand, but also, the rest of Scout's book. He's really, I think, turned up the quality of beer in McCall.
Cheers, Tony.
Way to go, Tony. And this is not necessarily a distributor-friendly podcast, but this time we'll go ahead and do it. Way to go, Tony. Nice work.
Absolutely.
Nice work. Anyway, you guys have done a really awesome job. You've taken sort of the valley here by storm. I really think 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10 beer drinkers that I know here have at least been to your place, if not go there once a week or once every other week or, annually at least. I mean, it's been a real kind of boon to the area, I think, to have your guys' unique take on beer. So what do you think Bert's is doing that is that people are getting interested in this valley? And then how do you think that's going to go for the rest of the state?
I think it's twofold, and one of those folds is sitting right next to me. It's David.
Oh, thanks. Oh, Dave.
His recipe development, his way of looking at beers and designing recipes it's just so impressive. The other piece to that is, Sydney, my wife, who's not here right now, but her taste in the design of the tasting room, her attention to detail. I think, I get to kind of act as the middleman. I get to be a part of both sides, but I'm surrounded by absolutely phenomenal people. And so I think it's Sydney and David, in my mind, that, I would contribute our success to.
And in talking about your tap room, which is a really cool spot. I've been there a couple times. It's just I find it to be kind of a cool, relaxing. The kids would say vibey. What do you think? Or how do you think you've cultivated such an awesome atmosphere over there at Bert's?
I can say, as far as the beer goes, what I love about our tasting room and the job that Sydney does with designing the brand and the experience you get in the tasting room, right? Glassware that fits the beer that you're having. I put work into the liquid itself, but then there's an equal amount of work that gets put into the experience you have when you enjoy it. And it truly makes the beer taste better. How could it not? When you have a beautiful glass in a beautiful spot, it's going to just amplify all the work that goes into the liquid. It's just going to make it deliver exactly the way we want it to. And this is the first time I've had that total, complete picture where you get to have the experience we want and the liquid that you want.
And also, Brett, is that who's behind the bar? Is it Brett?
Brett's phenomenal.
And you have some other people you brought with you from Orange County as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pablo.
So we've got Brett, Pablo, David, myself, Sydney. So that's the team coming up from Orange. But we have Alan Skinner, who was Scout's head of sales. He's now our sales manager. Alyssa, who's on the design team. We've got Eric, Steven, Kim. We're just surrounded by so many good people. And that's the reality of it. Is I think that we're fortunate to have just a devoted, interested, caring group of people that get to work with us every day. And I hope that the customer feels that, because to us, it's anyone who's behind the bar. It's somebody who's passionate about what they're doing. They're, good at communicating with the customers, good at, sharing their knowledge, but they're just friendly people.
Yeah, short story about Brett that David's going to hate. He poured me a beer, and the beer I think it was the collab Pale Ale with 10 Barrel. On a roll, the Pale Ale collab from 10 Barrel. Mm-hmm. And he noticed that it was a little hazy in the glass. I thought it was just like kind of a hazy Pale Ale. And he ripped it out of my hands, poured it out, and poured a new one that was nice and clean and clear and gorgeous. And he was like, yeah, it looked like it was the bottom of the keg, so I just thought I'd get you a new one. I was like, my God, this guy's awesome. I would have killed for a guy. I had a guy like that at Edge. We had Bradford and David. Both of them were awesome. And it just makes such a world of difference to have that kind of bartender.
I love that story. I don't hate that story.
And not to take away.
That's
you hated it for a second. I saw your face for one tiny second.
That happens sometimes. It's amazing to have, knowing that the people behind the bar care that much about the product. They know it's supposed to look this way, and those are your eyes and ears. If there's the first sign of anything wrong, it's really dedicated tasting room staff that say, hey, David, would you mind tasting this, at the end of your shift or whatever, and just let me know what you think.
Yeah.
And they do a phenomenal job at that. Mm-hmm. But every single one of them will do that. That's not to discredit Brett. I am extremely glad that he did it. Mm-hmm. But any person on staff 100% would do the same thing. And that's the environment that I think Sydney and David have cultivated, and it's quality over everything. So the customer should not have that experience of, hey, this is a clear beer, when it's presented to you. If it's not clear, we need to just say whatever to that keg. It's not about the money at the end of the day. It's about the experience.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. The few times I've been there, and probably 5 or 6 times now, maybe, and I've always had a great time. Everyone there is so nice, and the beers are always on point. It's just like an awesome spot. So I commend you on that. It's not easy to create, and creating good beers is not easy either. Creating good beers is tough, but creating a good atmosphere and an awesome place to hang out, way tougher than creating good beers, in my opinion. So awesome job, and also the beer is just awesome. So awesome job, guys. What are some other beer styles that you'd like to explore at Bert's? I've noticed you guys have done a lot of lagers, a lot of bottom fermented beers. So what's sort of your fascination with lagers? I guess we kind of know because Rob here went to Germany to learn how to do beer, of all places, and they like lagers over there. So what's your fascination with the bottom fermented beers, and do you have some plans to put in some horizontal fermenters?
No. We don't have space for that. As far as what we're interested in doing beers, we have a Brew IPA. Oh shit, that's an IPL.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. We have a Brute IPL coming out very soon. Smoked Hellas.
That's not nailed though. No.
Right.
Shit. What do we have? Dunkel.
Yeah, we brewed Dunkel yesterday.
Also not nailed. Lager's just better.
That's true.
Yeah. We've got basically 3 beers that live as an ale. We've kind of got a rotating pale ale. Mm-hmm. I guess 4. We've got a seasonal West Coast, PCH, and if you want to just call it an ale, it's our sour.
It was a double IPA last time I was there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. that's kind of a one-off thing. I mean, I went to school and all that, but Dave and I have bonded over lager.
Mm-hmm.
And you can speak a hell of a lot better to why you like brewing lager than I would.
I like drinkable beers, and lagers tend to be much more drinkable. That isn't to say you can't make crisp and clean and dry finishing ales, and I love IPA and I love pale ale. But more often than not, what excites me is making lager. The thing that excites me the most is this Märzen. This is the style I like doing more than anything, because you do it once a year. You look forward to that changing of the season, and but I love making like Munich style lagers. Malty, dry finishing beers that are bottom fermented, to me, are just the most wonderful thing to drink. Rob's gonna not like this, but I really want to make a malt liquor.
Oh, yeah. No, you should.
See? There we go.
No, malt
We want to put
liquors
it out on the airwaves, so we have to.
not only are malt liquors super fun to make, but they are super fun to drink.
Folks, show us in the comments how much you want
Craft malt
Bert's
liquor.
malt liquor on the shelves.
We did one at
It's a
Edge.
grassroots movement.
If somebody wants to commit to 15 barrels of purchasing on a malt liquor, I'm happy to do it.
I'll take half of
If
it.
I pre-sale all of it myself,
Yeah.
Done.
I'll take a half barrel.
Done.
I'll pay up to $96.
sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Alan?
Alan,
Alan,
Get Alan on.
Alan will sell it. Like, that guy, he knows how to sell. I think he had to sell our malt liquor when it came out.
Alan's going to be busy selling our smoked Hellas.
Man, that's another half barrel I'll take right here. Already sold.
I'm pretty excited for
Yeah, I'll
that.
take one.
I am really excited for that.
What are you smoking? The Pilsner malt?
It's a cherrywood smoked malt
Oh, you're using cherry smoked
from
malt.
from
It's
Breeze,
So good.
and it's subtle. It's not a heavy smoked beer, but
It's no Roush.
so yeah.
No.
If you like Hellas and you want just a little kiss of smoke in there,
Smoked cherry malt. I love that malt. That malt
it's
is
just kind of
so
a
good.
nerdy thing we got.
We're getting into it today. I love this. I feel like we're really having a good time.
That's going to be available
Soon.
for Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Oh, that was another question I had: is how many other fall beers do you have? You mentioned your Fest beer. We have
That's true.
Märzen out right now. What else do we have coming out?
Like
Smoked
a-
Hellas, I mean, fits the smoky season. But
Unfortunately, fucking fires.
Dunkel, brewed
yesterday, so that'll be out in 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, I think tentatively 10-3.
Black Dunkel or brown Dunkel?
It's brown.
Brown. Okay.
Yeah, but the Schwartz beer I want to do, but that'll probably be more like wintertime.
Cool.
I'll probably release somewhere around December-ish.
Mm.
Late November.
Whenever Rob lets me brew it.
Yeah.
Well, you can brew whenever you want.
It's Alan. Alan is the one who's going to tell you when you can brew it.
That's good, because I already brewed it.
Nice.
I just didn't tell you.
That's what Dunkel was.
I'm super excited for the Schwartz beer.
And then we actually have some that at least I think both of us are pretty excited about, but it's going to be a Starship Cookie Golden Stout
Oh, yeah.
in collaboration with Certified Bakery, who I think has the best bakery in town. It's phenomenal stuff. That's going to be kegged and limited kind of release cans. That's tentatively, late this year. And then probably the other exciting thing that's coming up, or really exciting thing that's coming up, is early next year our in Denver Pros Collab.
Yeah,
Oh.
very excited
You
for
guys are
that.
hooking up with GB over at Prost, huh? Friend of the show. Prost makes some great lagers as well.
Yes, they do.
Their Oktoberfest I have for this week. We're going to have that on. And they're making some really great, I love their Kolsch. That thing is bananas good. So, do you know what kind of beer that's going to be? Or
I don't think we've decided
Yeah,
yet.
you going to brew it down there
We're
at
still
their
fangirling.
Ferrari brewery?
We're still fangirling and just trying to stop hyperventilating about the fact that we get to do some with them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just a phenomenal brewery. To be considered to do something like that is such an honor.
The second Boise brewery to do a collab with them. That's pretty cool.
Their sockeye collab was super good.
Yep.
Oh,
I really liked
so
it.
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. You guys, sounds like you have some fun things coming up. I'm really Really like that. Really like to do that. I get that you've sort of made this connection with Prost. Have you made any other connections with some of the Idaho breweries? And has anybody kind of reached out to you? Has anybody sort of reached out to you? And who have you been able to kind of hang with or get to know in our
We get to hang with Chris Van School from Timber all the time. We got to see him today, actually.
Cool.
I love hanging out with that guy.
He's why we were right on time instead of 5 minutes early.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, Chris is awesome. We got to do the collab. Obviously, we got to do it in-house and then go to 10 Barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Same base, which you guys, David and Chris, figured out the recipe for it. I think both are phenomenal. So different, so unique, but
that's the honor roll.
Yeah.
Honor roll.
And then his is called Couch Surfing.
Okay.
Chris added some pineapple and some terpenes to his batch. So they are, it's the same base beer that are pretty uniquely different.
Wildly different. Yeah, I don't remember any terpenes and pineapple in here.
He brought his version over to our place, and I cracked it open and I was like, whoa.
Don't open it for cops around.
Yeah.
But we did a collab with Loose Screw, which was a great time. We did a dry hop Belgian table beer. And that actually won...
Just because the market was demanding it? Or
that won bronze
it was,
at NABA.
Oh,
it did, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That was just a style I wanted to do.
I think a lot of the time it's when we have an open tank, it's what can we have fun with? And that's kind of the hope and want is, the cores are important, the seasonal, the rotators, the stuff that keeps the lights on is great, but when you get a chance to do something fun, especially with, another brewery, why wouldn't you?
For sure. I totally agree. And keep us abreast of that Prost collab so we can get our hands on that when it comes out. Be happy to try that. And what has been the biggest surprise about starting a brewery in Idaho?
All of it. I don't know. I think it's the positive response. I think really, you start any business and you hope for the best, you assume the worst. And so to have such a great response, to be able to grow at the rate that it's been growing, to be able to add tanks and the canning line, and more and more phenomenal staff and people that we get to work with. Man, it's the biggest blessing, honestly, in the world for at least myself. I know Sydney feels the same way. I assume that you feel the same way. It's fun to see regulars. It's fun that we've had regulars since we opened. It's fun to see the positive responses. And it's just nice to be a part of a community that really, I think, let us in with open arms. That's something that's really special.
Yeah, and moving my family here, there's a risk involved in that, and so you're betting on yourself that you hope you're good enough at what you do, and people enjoy it the way you want them to. And so for that to be the case, maybe even more so than I even hoped, we're truly blessed. And I wake up every day excited to go to work, which is the best feeling you can have. And it's because people enjoy the things that we do.
Yeah, I'd say that betting on yourself is a pretty safe bet so far from what I've had. So thanks a lot, guys, for coming in today. I really appreciate you guys coming all the way out here to beautiful Eagle, Idaho to, hang out with my dumb dogs and talk beer. And the water chemistry talk, my God, no one else is going to like it, but I will. I'll listen to that over and over again. And so thank you very much. We do have one more thing that we like to do here, which is a game. We always try to do a game with our guests. And your game is easy.
I thought we were making thunder.
That was a little bit of thunder there. Oh, it looks like some weather's rolling in. We have now we're at 1800s radio show. All of a sudden, good times. So this is German brewery or famous German. This is because of your love of lagers and because of your
David Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff. So we'll start. So these are either going to be a famous German or a German brewery. And this is because you went to Germany, you spent time there. Don't deny it. I'm sure they asked for your papers a bunch of times. There was a lot of stuff like that going on. A lot of train chases and stuff like that. Every time I see a movie in Germany, there's all sorts of fun stuff going on.
I am not allowed on the train for I think another 2 years.
Mm.
Have some unpaid fines.
We're going to get into that next time. But let's start. German brewery or famous German, either one of you can answer. It doesn't matter. There are no losers on famous German or German brewery. Let's just make that clear. Everybody's
Is there
winner.
any votes?
Maybe. So the first one, Helmut Newton.
No way.
That's a person. Yeah, that's a
not
German.
brewery.
You're right. Ding, ding, ding. You're
Yeah.
right. That is a German photographer.
I know him well, actually. We're friends.
Newton.
I'm sorry that he was named Helmet.
Yeah.
That's a very popular name over there, I think. And the next one I have here is Königsbacher.
That's a beer.
brewery.
Yeah, that's a beer.
Well done. Ding, ding, ding. That is a brewery.
Which German's going to go the seal route where it's just one name?
Yeah.
That's true. I did get rid of the two names on a lot of these, so I did make it a little bit tougher.
Those are just the warm-ups then?
Yeah, those are the warm-ups.
Okay.
Those are easy.
All right, I'm ready.
Everybody knows Königsbacher.
Yeah, I'm ready for the real question.
All right. Diebels.
That's a brewery.
That's a person.
Who? You want to convert? David is correct. It is a brewery.
If we just go 50-50, one of us is going to get right.
No, then we'll have winners
Diebels,
and
yeah.
losers. It's more fun if there's winners.
I only know that because of a Netflix show called Oktoberfest Beer and Blood that came out 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about Old Diebel was the brewery, and I guess they made they made the fest beer. They made the beer for the Kaiser or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. This one's a tough one. Guido Henkel von Donnersmarck.
What? His name is Guido?
Guido Henkel von Donnersmarck.
I'm going to go beer. That seems goofy.
No, that's a person, man.
It's a person. He's a German businessman
Yeah.
of some repute. That's okay. You can still get back in this, Rob. Don't worry about it. You're only it's still within
I'm
reach.
thinking too much.
Okay. Dinkelhocker.
Beer.
I couldn't get through it.
All they make is Dunkel.
Dinkelhocker.
It sounds like a beer.
Yeah, it sounds like something else. But yes, it's a brewery. That is Dinkelhocker. And for all you German speakers out there, go ahead and email into the show and let us know what the loose translation of Dinkelhocker is. So I'd like to know.
No pictures.
All right. Zoller.
Zoller?
Mm-hmm.
That's the last name for sure.
Brewery.
That's a person.
Kind of a trick question. It was the sniper from Inglourious Bastards.
I was going to say that's why I know the last name. Frederick Zoller, yeah.
Did anyone name a beer Zoller?
Maybe. I would have. That's the first thing I would have done if I was. But they lock you up for not using the right amount. If you use too many hops, those ladies got locked up that one time because they didn't follow an Excalibur.
Dang.
Kind of funny. But that's Germany for you.
Yeah.
Not funny, haha. Funny, that's weird. All right. Friedman.
That's a person.
Yeah.
Another trick question. That was both a person, a famous TV chef, and a brewery. Friedman.
Dang.
All right.
I'd call that.
It's all right. These last four, we're almost there.
What's the official score right now?
When's
It's
coming
2-2.
in?
It's 2-2.
I think.
How's it 2-2?
No, let's see.
I feel like I'm losing way worse.
Yeah, 2-2.
I feel like
it might be 3-2.
It might be 3-0.
Well, somebody out there is keeping score, I'm sure. Next up, Saint Erhard.
That sounds
Well,
like
I'm
a
going to
beer.
go both.
That's a beer.
That's a tricky one. It is a beer.
Is it both, though? Because
There probably is a Saint Erhard out there somewhere, right? I'll give you both a point there. Herrenhauser.
Beer.
Beer.
Yep, you're both right. That is a beer. Beckenbauer.
Beer.
Soccer player.
Ah, damn it.
Gotcha on that one.
Damn.
That's a point for me.
What's Beck's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Beck's. And Becker. But not Beckenbauer. All right. And for all the points, Kuckelbauer.
Beer.
Soccer player.
Nature.
I did get hung up on the soccer players for a little while.
I'm going beer.
It's a brewery. You're right. Absolutely correct. And
Fantastic.
as I said, there are no winners or losers on German brewery or famous German, as you both came up with 4 points. And I got a point for the
Wow.
Beckenbauer one. So that was nice for me. So once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out. We got David Hall, the head brewer, and Rob Harrelson, the co-owner / co-founder / the guy who's in between things over there at Bert's Brewing Company. And you guys are located where in Garden City?
3577 North Brown Street.
And that is behind, like, it's kind of like where Orchard comes down to Chinden, right?
Yep. Well, so 3/4 of the way down.
It's tucked back there. Don't park in the place next door.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's awful.
You will get towed. You get booted. Das Boot. That's what you should put on the sign. You will get Das Boot. And not the good one. And not the good one. So thanks a lot, gentlemen. I really appreciate you guys coming all the way out here. And you can go see Bert's Brewing. I assume you guys will be taking part in some kind of, some events or anything like that going on?
We've got Oktoberfest September 13th and 14th. We'll be unveiling our fest beer, our Märzen, smoked Helles. We've got ceramic steins for purchase, straight from Germany. So, yeah.
Oh, my wife just made me get rid of all of mine, so it's time to start the next collection back up.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we're going to have to do. When does Oktoberfest start?
4 o'clock on the 13th. So that's that Friday. That'll go on till 10. And then Saturday the 14th, it will be noon to 10.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. That's Bert's Brewing, everybody. Get out there and pick them up. You can find them here and there. Brewers Haven. I think both co-ops have them.
Whole Foods.
I've seen them at Whole Foods. And, yeah.
Already in Costco.
And Costco. Oh, you can get, the PCH.
PCH
is at Costco. You can get a 4-pack for a very good deal. $10, I think. $10, $11. So not too bad. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. And coming up next, we will have Friday Night Pints that will include this Märzen that I just tried, along with maybe a couple other Bert's beers if we're able to try them. And all that is coming up next on the Idaho Booze Podcast. The show is brought to you by Like Button and LikeButton.us. You own a company and it just made a sale. Congratulations. But do you know how much money you spent to get that sale? Did that customer just walk in the door to escape the blazing heat, or were they fed ads on their favorite mobile game, then on social media, then on Google, then on their streaming service before they decided to visit you? So how much did you spend to get that customer? At Like Button, we will not only set up a proven sales funnel that will generate leads, but with our unbeatable transparency, you will know exactly how much you spent to acquire that customer. Then Like Button will optimize so the next customers you get come in cheaper, so more money ends up in your pocket. Stop wasting money on ads that don't generate more money for you. Get back to doing what you love and let Like Button do the rest. Go to likebutton.us and sign up for a free consultation today. That's likebutton.us. It's Brew News. A mixed bag on today's Brew News. Let's start with the announcement of my favorite beer fest in Idaho. That's right. Boise Brewing's Hoptoberfest is coming back for another year. This is a really fun fest. The weather, usually perfect. The beers, you got fall beers, you got fresh hops, Oktos, some barrel-aged stuff. Just a really good time. So go get your tickets. Looks like Hoptoberfest 2024, according to their Facebook page over at Boise Brewing, is going to be October 12th. I can't believe it's their 11th one already. God, I think I've been to 9 of them. So October 12th, fresh hop beer for 20-plus breweries. Live music featuring a couple of different bands, it looks like. It's going to be food, and it says plenty of activities. So not sure what that means, but excited to see it. Pre-sale for tickets opens up soon. Keep a lookout on Boise Brewing's socials for the links. And right here, too, at the Idaho Booze Podcast, we'll have those links up here as well. So great to hear that that's coming back. I really do love that fest. It's a really fun one. So go get your tickets as soon as you can, and I will see you there. Bad news. Bad brew news. One of my favorite craft beer restaurants in Meridian has closed, well, at least for now. It says here, I think this is in the Statesman, Cahoots, right there on Main and Cherry, has shut down. Now, there is no mention of this on their website or Facebook, either of which I don't think have been updated since 2020. But still, all that was left was a note on the door saying that Cahoots was closed temporarily for retooling. Ominous and direct. Thank you, Cahoots. Here's hoping they make it back because I'm not sure how long I can go without that cheesesteak and a triple IPA. Great combo if you haven't had it. Well, hopefully you'll be able to, but we don't know. Cahoots is being very sort of secretive here with their closed temporarily note on the door. No mention of anything on the website, no mention on the Facebook, nothing like that. So we'll see what's going on with Cahoots. In other depressing beer bar news, this one's really rough. An old favorite, Space Bar Arcade, has announced that it is closing. Owner Will Hay posted on Facebook that, quote, "We were unable to overcome the insurmountable odds that were stacked against us." That's too bad. You hate to hear that. September 8th is going to be their last day, so if you're hearing this on Friday or Saturday, be sure to get down there by Sunday for one more game of Joust or NBA Jam and another amazing time hanging out at the Space Bar Arcade. Boy, this one really sucks. I really like those guys. I really love that place, and a lot of good nights spent there. Will and Zach, you had a great place there. I'm sorry to see it go. Just sucks. In We Saw It Coming and Tried to Warn You news, Tilray, that fun, squinty-eyed Canadian kind Budweiser, has finally revealed its plans for all those American craft breweries that it gobbled up, like so many Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supremes, and laid off dozens of people at 10 Barrel Brewing. 10 Barrel founders and really cool business bros. Chris and Jeremy Cox, such cool bros. Last seen making idiotic videos about how they don't give a shit what you think about selling out to AB. And then making more dumb videos celebrating their sale from AB to Tilray by stupidly showering each other in pub beer. Well, they got the axe, tendering their resignations earlier this week, and the firings didn't stop there. Man, I feel bad for everybody from 10 Barrel right now. Looks like they got rid of people from brewing, admin, sales, marketing, everybody. All shown the beaded curtain door. Among the layoffs includes big friend of the show, Sean Kelso, great dude, who will immediately find a job either in Boise, Bend, or wherever the fuck he wants, because he might be the best brewer in the Northwest, maybe the country. And they also got rid of the rest of 10 Barrel's innovation team, which includes Jimmy Seifert, great dude, and superstar brewer Tanya Cornett. Now, if you don't know Tanya Cornett, allow me to reintroduce herself. She's the reason why kettle sours exist in the market today. Her vision and talent, and that's for good or bad, by the way. I mean, if you like kettle sours, you owe Tanya a great bit. If you don't care, so you'll probably just move on to the next story. But her vision and talent, man, created all the beers leading up and including the Crush series from 10 Barrel. So that included a favorite of mine, German Sparkle Party. I always liked that beer. And other kettle sours that nobody was doing before she was doing these things. I mean, it was one of those things that breweries sort of made maybe for fun, but it wasn't like anything that anybody would put out in a can or anything. Well, Tanya also developed 10 Barrel's excellent barrel age program and other experimental beers. Even after they were bought up by AB, she continued to work and presided over the innovation team. So she, if you don't know, she also presided over a little brewery called Bend Brewing, where she won Small Brewer of the Year at the World Beer Cup. No small feat. And then at that same World Beer Cup, went ahead and took the gold medal for a little thing called American IPA, which is only the most competitive category in any fest. So she can brew IPAs, she can brew kettle sours, she can brew barrel-aged stouts. It doesn't matter. She is all about that beer. Man, 16 GABF medals, 12 World Beer Cup medals, and features in little rags, local rags like New York Times and the Washington Post. So Tanya, sorry to hear about what happened. I'm sure you're going to find a better job somewhere else working for someone that will appreciate what you do. And Kelso, who also is no stranger to GABF and World Beer Cup medals, was also let go. He was the head brewer at a little Eastern Oregon brewery you might have heard of called Barley Browns, and basically reinvented the West Coast IPA with Pallet Jack and then Joe IPA, which was originally Sam IPA, which was Simcoe Amarillo Mosaic hops. So Kelso also introduced the West Coast and the rest of the country to these Mosaic hops that now are in pretty much every IPA. Sean opened up 10 Barrel Brewing in downtown Boise and was treated, I thought, harshly by a lot of local beer people because of the AB purchase that went down right afterwards. Now look, the AB thing and the 10 Barrel thing with the city of Boise basically paying for them to have a building downtown, and then 10 Barrel, as soon as they moved in, selling to AB, which was also really shitty of 10 Barrel, to be fair, because the city of Boise basically paid to have Anheuser-Busch put up a brewery in fucking downtown Boise, which is fucked up. And I don't think they ever got any of that money back. I don't think they ever wanted it back, really, but Sean got the blunt of the mistreatment on that, and that wasn't fair. He was just brewing, and he was brewing up some fucking awesome beers too. He's a great dude. And his beers, I mean, he reinvented the West Coast IPA. Like, come on. What are we talking about here? The guy was here doing all this stuff. Anyway, Kelso, great dude. Kelso, also named by the Times News of Twin Falls as Idaho Brewer of the Year in 2013, by yours truly, for pumping out the best beers in the Gem State, but mostly it was, for that Sam IPA. Man. So these people were let go by Tilray. And, man, these guys are like the best of the best Top Gun trained brewers, and now they're out there looking for work. So if I'm working at Hop Valley, Terrapin, Widmer, Red Hook, any of these other breweries that these Canadian Kush monsters bought up, I would be updating that CV and bottling up samples because it probably won't end here. I mean, if they can get rid of Kelso and Tanya, they can get rid of anybody. And if you guys are listening, and I doubt you are, I sincerely doubt it. I hope you are. It'd be nice. Good luck out there, and let me know if you want to come on the show and talk about it. Love to have you guys. Friday Night Pints is next. This is the Idaho Booze Podcast. This show is sponsored by the Idaho Brewers United, or IBU. Sign up for IBU's monthly newsletter at idahobrewers.org and get VIP access to brewery events, tastings, and news straight from the source. Be the first beer nerd on your block to download the IBU app and start earning points for free Gem State beer gear. It's only one email a month, so what do you have to lose? Sign up at idahobrewers.org today. Welcome back to the Idaho Booze Podcast. I'm Steve Kuntz, and it is time for Friday Night Pints. Lots of good stuff this week. Found a couple of new Oktoberfests, including, this one found me, Rob. And by the way, weren't Rob and David awesome? Those guys are the best. I can't believe they came on the show, honestly. Like, they are such great dudes. They have such great talkers. It's awesome having them. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview at least as much as I enjoyed doing it, because those guys are freaking awesome. Anyway, they brought in their new Oktoberfest Marzen. We talked about it during the interview. This one, malty on the nose, graham cracker and biscuits. Nothing too toasty, not that like kind of toasty almondy flavor we've been seeing a lot in Oktos. This one, faint whiff of grassy hops, but like David said earlier, the beer is pretty malt forward. Honey, cracker, biscuit, a bit of those grassy hops on the palate with a really nice crisp finish. The German malts and subtle hop character really make for a tasty Oktoberfest here. And I believe it's 5.4, 5.5%, something like that, in cans at Bert's. And I feel like around wherever they have their cans. So Co-op, Whole Foods, places like that. Check that out. And the label art on there is awesome. So make sure to give that a little look. Payette put out Oktoberfest. This one, real looker in the glass. Dark orange with a touch of white head that sits there on top. Honey, toasted almonds, lemon zest. Touch of graham cracker malt on the nose there. This Okto drinks very clean with all those flavors coming through with a little bit of a lingering finish. As far as I can remember, it's a step up from last year, as I remember last year's being a little bit more malty, a little bit kind of held on there in the finish, as opposed to this one, which is a little more crispy. So I enjoy that. I think that is a little bit better thing to do with the finish there on an Okto. You don't want too many of those flavors lingering around. And this one's great. Give it a try. 5.9% in 12-ounce cans around town and at Payette. Then we have one more Okto this week. Prost put out an Oktoberfest Marzen. 'Tis another beauty. Burnt orange with a thick white head. Good amount of bubbles. Honey, toasted almonds, lemon, grassy hops, all there on the nose, and all play with each other very nicely. This one, very refined, this beer. I would put this up there with any German Okto that I've had, at least in the last couple of years. Really nice. The carbonation, nice. Big bubbles, delivers those flavors in a way that I really like. I would put this one towards the top of the Oktos that I've tried. Really would. 5.8%. That's in cans all around town. And then stop by our old friends at Gem State the other night just to see if they had anything new on. And they did. Through the Pines, Pale Ale. Now, this is scratching me right where I itch. If you're a Sierra Nevada fan or someone who enjoys a nice sort of piney, grapefruity pale ale, well, this is for you. Centennial and Cascade hops throughout the nose. You can spot them out just as sure as anything else. Notes of pine and grapefruit. Those flavors really come through with a touch of that cracker malt. This is a really nice pale ale, and it's only 4.8%. 30 IBU. That's on tap at Gem State Brewing. For more beers from Gem State, including a sour and another one with some lime in it, I guess, a lime sort of Golden Ale, I guess it is. Well, check out the column. Well, that will just about do it for episode 10 from Orange with Love. If you have something you want to ask for a future mailbag or just a comment for the show, you can find me at Steve Kuntz on Facebook, at The Daily Beard on X and Instagram, or just email the show, idahoboozepod@gmail.com. If you are Sean Kelso, hi, or somebody like him that wants to be on the show, hit me up. Get on that email, idahoboozepod@gmail.com, or just slide into my DMs if that's the way you want to play it. Thanks so much to our sponsors, Boise Beer Buddies. Don't forget about that promo code. Buy one, get one free, year-long subscriptions. And that code is BOOZEPOD, all one word, BOOZEPOD. Idaho Brewers United, thank you. Sign up for their newsletter and like button. If you need any sort of digital marketing done, get a hold of those guys at Like Button. They'll set you straight. Links are in the show notes. Thanks to all of you for listening. It's been really cool hearing from you. I hope you continue to subscribe, share, and review on Substack, Apple Pods, and Spotify. Coming soon to a YouTube near you. That's the show. Good day and good drinking, everyone. Friday Night Pints is brought to you by Idaho Brewers United. Did you hear? IBU is going digital with the new Idaho Brewers Trail app. It used to be a map, and now it's an app. Want to know if your favorite beer is on tap at your favorite brewery? Check the app. Want to earn points towards amazing prizes from local breweries? Check the app. Need to get that hot goss going on in the brewing industry? Check the app, people. Be the first on your block to have the app by signing up for the Idaho Brewers United Brew newsletter at idahobrewers.org. Go to idahobrewers.org, sign up for that newsletter today, and you'll soon be able to check the app.